into the nitty-gritty of the business we're here for. As we all know, this is a very difficult budget season, and we have a lot of work to do, so we're going to go on with that. So there are no additions to the agenda, so how about approval of the minutes for October 21st?
I move that we approve the minutes as written for October 21st, 2013 for the regular select board meeting.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes for October 21st, 2013 regular select board meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
October 29th?
Make a motion that we approve the budget work session on October 29th as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the budget workshop session October 29th as presented. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next on the agenda are our guests from Triple T. Please come on up. Bob, you can just pull another chair up. First of all, I'd like to start with thanking you for coming this evening. I know you have better things to do on this crisp November night, but we really appreciate you taking the time out to come and meet with us.
Would you like a brownie?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, we don't usually eat like you guys, you know, but so we're here to talk about what our options are for trash. Obviously, having our own trash, whatever it is called, is not going to work because we're not going to have the money for that this year with the announcement of Vermont Yankees. So we have to try to figure out how we can abide by the new law and go from there.
Well, I mean,
You did some synopsis.
sure. I mean, I've certainly looked at some of the numbers for different service levels, some equipment. I mean, if you have to get recycling bins for folks, if you want every other week recycling. At the same time, I've done a little bit of goofing around with if you do offer recycling at the curb, you know, how much more recyclables will you take out of the trash that you're presently paying for? And so I looked on the EPA website, which is a great website if anybody finds themselves awake in the middle of the night and wants to find themselves sleepy again. That might be a good way to start. But they have a lot of stats of what a lot of municipalities have found over a wide variety of communities of what they could potentially take out of their trash once pay-as-you-throw essentially is implemented. And that's 25 to 35%. So that's a pretty significant number. And so, you know, I've crunched some generic numbers, kind of knowing what we know about the community, different ways we can provide the service, and some of the equipment, and kind of just, so it maybe gives you some rough estimates of kind of fees that you may incur in whatever way you decide to go. I don't know, I talked about the progression of the law, Bob, and the interpretations.
Well, just going back to last January and February, and Katrina has the various documents we were working on with the solid waste district and Triple T. We had talked about what are all the options, you know, your own transfer station or abandoning trash collection totally, say like Guilford, everyone's on their own. But I think we've kind of realized that, like you're saying with the budget, we can't really go into transfer station development. And then Act 148, as it's called, the Universal Recycling Law, is going to mandate starting July 1, 2015, they call it variable rate pricing or unit-based pricing, pay-as-you-throw. So it's coming. And it's probably the most effective way to increase recycling and decrease your costs, subject to, you know, negotiating with all of us. So the state is going to be issuing some guidance documents on what pay-as-you-throw prices per bag or per unit they consider effective, because we really have pay-as-you-throw in many communities around, you know, where you pay by the bag. It's often $1.50 or $2. At these other transfer stations like Whitingham and Jamaica, Wilmington, and go to Hinsdale. Northfield has it. Excuse me, so the big question is, how much per bag would it take to cover trash collection, trash disposal, and effectively change people's behavior? To make that decision.
Possibly the bag could be priced to even do the mandates from the state.
Doing the recycling mandates?
Sure. I don't know why not.
Or we could price the bag to cover.
Did anybody call Hinsdale to get some
No.
sort of?
I didn't get through to anybody there yet.
You didn't get it. It's kind of hard to get a hold of them, but once you get a hold of them, they've got a wealth of information of their pay-as-you-throw. I don't think their pay-as-you-throw quite covers their recycling program, but it does cover their trash program and the pickup. And I think it even covers a day or two running the transfer station with the fees that they have there and with what's left over from the bags themselves. And that's their transfer station, which they've had, only runs 2 days a week. And pretty much anything comes in that he doesn't want to handle it, sends it over to us anyways.
Well,
And Northfield is the same thing, actually.
yeah. So, there's a number of ways to go about it. You can literally, as a municipality, purchase bags from a company that's, say, Vernon, and people buy them at local stores. We don't have one anymore.
The town office.
Or you distribute it through the town hall.
Yeah, because I've seen the Hinsdale ones are actually in Walmart. So you could
So
maybe get
so
local
you
stores
can-
to carry them as
You can
well.
do that so that it's easily identifiable that when someone puts out a bag, yeah, that's our bag, and it's the same size. Because a 30-gallon bag versus a 60-gallon bag, people, it's paid by the bag, well, I'm gonna get the biggest bag possible, but you have to set a size. The other option is you get stickers. So you can say to people, you have to use a certain size bag, and, they would pay for however many stickers they wanted. Same thing, it could be $3 or whatever you decide.
You'd have a weight limit.
And you'd say that bag, and the drivers and the haulers know generally what's an acceptable quantity, so that someone isn't abusing it with a giant contractor bag.
I will say that the Hinsdale, once they went pay-as-you-throw, their weights went up on their bags. They didn't have any light bags anymore. Everything was pretty well tucked.
Well, people are gonna
That's
pay
good,
for a
that's
bag, they're
fine.
gonna fill it, right?
Sure.
That's
Right.
fine. You're paying for it. That's fine. So
There are some reports in some areas of people putting trash in recycling to try to get around it. So there is an enforcement element here, but Triple T in Brattleboro and other, does some amount of.
It's a delicate balance of
It is.
providing a service and.
it's hard to police as a hauler and keep your reputation.
Right, it's not fair to you
Your head's on
anyway.
the line, and
Yeah.
and Brattleboro, we may have crossed that line somewhat of what the Brattleboro required us to do. It wasn't in our bid when we bid on Brattleboro, but they did bring a person on board to help us with it. So that Moss Kayla come on board, and he was against pay-as-you-throw, and I think that pretty much for it at this point, after he saw the abuse that was going on at Brattleboro. I think am I right, Peter?
Yeah, no,
Pretty much,
he's-
he's pretty much
Yeah,
come
he
on
is.
board to, and he was the one that started the lobby and the signs on the lawns and everything against it. And Lord behold, he's turned all the way over. He's rode on the trucks and actually physically worked on the trucks, and everything's under the town. We paid him first, and then the town took him over at that point, and he kept him going so that through the compost and visualizing the page-you-throw. I did try to get him to go to Hinsdale for a day, but I didn't get him over there, because then you could get the whole flip of the thing.
Well, I think what Norm's saying is it emphasizes the importance of some educational component to go along with it, to help people. And the solid waste district can definitely assist with that, providing flyers and literature. In fact, I have someone that we can give you for your next mailing if you want, or whatever. But there has to be someone they can call and, you know, get answers. I mean, probably the town clerk's office would be the natural.
I will say that Hinsdale's tonnage between dumpsters and that people that didn't want to recycle got dumpsters and abuse from other towns that were coming in, their tonnage dropped right off. Your tonnage is right up there with Hinsdale, higher actually, right?
Generate a little over 15 tons a week of trash.
And you should be, Hinsdale's like what, 9?
Wow.
Anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, you're gonna see the boom, the tonnage.
3,000 tons, 325 stops, 30,000 pounds a week. A month, yeah, a week.
You're gonna see a deduction in your tipping fee just in that alone.
So what does it cost to the town if we do pay as you throw?
Well, you're gonna support it when you pay as you throw.
Could be zero.
It won't, that's right, it could
So-
be 0. It may
so
not
do
be on the tax base at all.
Do we need to, so we don't need to budget anything then?
You won't if you tailor fit your pay as you throw rate.
What we could do
Yeah,
is
but-
figure out what a average bag and a price per bag would cover their services, and that would be a starting point. We could
Well,
back into that
It's
number.
gonna,
It's gonna be a floating thing, because you're gonna
Yeah.
have some tonnage that's not there.
Yes,
right.
but at
Your
least you'll
tonnage
be in
gonna
the,
go down, the second is the cost to throw it out. And so you have to speculate a little bit on how much is this gonna go down. Pick a conservative number of some sort, so it's good news rather than bad news. And then the following year, you can start adjusting.
And for the public sitting here, the state is gonna make them go pay as you throw 015 no matter what. They're not gonna have a choice if they have curb service. You're gonna be paid as you throw.
So,
So
go ahead,
anyway,
Bruce, I'm sorry.
No, my question is, pay as you throw, we put our bags out there, don't you have a fee to pick those bags up, or is that in the
The fee
bag
would-
fee?
It'll be generated through the
Bag fee.
so the town would get those revenues from the sale of the bags, and then that would
Then that pays for the,
reimburse. And some towns actually have fees that generate some additional revenue for future solid waste programs, or to support a recycling educator, you know, part-time. So you can structure it pretty much to.
so what we would need, I'm sorry,
It's okay.
what we would need was, that would have to be in there for the price of the, did you say that for the price of the
Of
bag?
the bag.
Or to take into consideration when we choose the price for the bag, is that,
The one thing that's gonna disappear though,
But would-
there's two floating things. There's people who are not gonna be putting it out. There's people who are not gonna wanna recycle. They're gonna have maybe a dumpster in their dooryard instead. The town isn't gonna pay the tipping fee on that. And the other thing that's kind of a floating thing is I think Peter has numbers on that, is there's gonna be tonnage that's not in the trash, it's gonna be in the recycling. We already paid the district for the recycling. So that's a number that, in that bag price, that you may wanna get part of that as well.
That's
What you
right.
paid to be in the district.
That was gonna be my next question. I would assume that the price for recycling will go up because we're forcing people to recycle more. So where we're saving on one end, we'll be paying a little bit more on the other end.
Typically, it's less per ton for the recycling than
And he's hungry, he needs more.
No, we would like more recyclables. It would lower, you know, because we sell them and it's a market. The district's doing its budgeting right now, just as the towns are. And it looks, we don't have the final numbers, but our assessments back to the towns are gonna go up perhaps 20%. Just because the commodity market for selling these things is down. We reduced assessments 5% last year, because we had a good year. But it's just, and so, there are a lot of variables, floaters, you know, that can change this equation.
I think what I was thinking of was, when do you give us your price? In other words, what is it gonna cost us per year? Is it gonna cost us $50,000 for you to pick it up, say? So then that we know when to, or how much to charge
Peter
people.
has those numbers.
I mean, if we provide every other week recycling service, here's my notes. It's not on this page.
That's
Yeah.
just recycling.
So every other week, recycling service for the town would add $2,700 a month. And then, like everything in trash, it's not so simple. That's to collect the containers and the paper separately. It's called dual stream recycling that goes to the solid waste district. Triple T could offer another service called single stream recycling, where you put those commodities together, and so it's more efficient to pick it up. And we could offer that service for $2,200 a month. And those recyclables would go through our transfer station to another processing facility upstate.
But that would be on top of what we pay now, right?
Yes.
Correct. Now, the caveat being, you take that 15 tons of trash and you take the low estimate of 25%
Thanks.
reduction in
That's
trash,
27.
or the high estimate of 35%. The 35% actually covers that $2,200 and generates $100 or so a month on the positive side of things. And if you keep the dual stream, it covers $2,300 or thereabouts at the high side of things. And then I think it's $1,500 or $1,600 on the low side.
Now, let me ask you, because it's not fair to make you the trash police, how do you, if we go pay-as-you-throw and do stickers, okay, and I put my trash out in a green trash bag with a sticker on it at the end of my curb, how do you know whether I have recycling in it or not?
Well, that's the beauty of it. You've paid for it. It's your choice.
That bag, you paid for that sticker, so you
Yeah.
can put, everything could be totally recyclable. You paid for it, but anything beyond that.
But that's where we'd have to be really careful of what we're charging for bags, because although I've paid for my bag, if I only pay $2 for my bag and I'm throwing out all kinds of stuff, it's really costing more than $2 to to deal with that trash bag.
That's a
Well,
decision that,
right.
for you folks, obviously,
Right.
yeah.
I'm just asking these questions because when it comes time to figure out what it is we want to do, I mean, obviously, we're at a crossroads right now, we have to do something. And if the law says in 2015 we have to go pay-as-you-throw, then while we're making a decision, we might as well go pay-as-you-throw. But what's best? Do we do pay-as-you-throw and just keep the recycling bins the way they are? Or do we do a second pickup? Is it,
I think, well, the state's kind of come in on that one.
Well, for another year, you could do that. But I'm not sure that you could do that with the new state law in 2015.
Yeah, the state is gonna issue guidance documents on this Act 148, as it's called. By the way, there's a very extensive website A&R has developed with documents and reports and
tax dollars?
yes, but they will be issuing guidance on what, as I said earlier, what is a rate that would be qualified as not just $1 a bag or $2, but
So it's not just going pay-as-you-throw. You can go pay-as-you-throw, but you still have to have a second recycling pickup. That's where I got
Correct.
confused. I
Yeah.
thought if you went
You can't have
pay-as-you-throw.
one or the other and point you and say the other's over there.
yeah,
It has
we
to be-
can't just
Okay.
leave our recycling bins at the districts up at David's Yard and say, well, we've met it. They're making the
Right,
hallways.
that you'll have to add that service if you want to keep
No.
the program at people's house.
So if you want to keep any kind of curbside, it's going to require two.
You gotta have recycling there as well.
Okay. Now, will the bins stay at the garage
That's to be
lot anyhow?
determined.
Okay.
The district is, actually, we meet regularly with the hauling community here, and we're talking about all these things, because, you know, it could be better for them to take that hauling over, since it's required, and we could be better for us. We spend, you know, maybe $500,000 a year collecting recyclables all over Windham County. You know, 2 trucks and 3 drivers and,
A lot of times we go right by each other.
oh, yeah.
I've seen that before.
So we haven't made a decision about, and that's up to the Windham Solid Waste District. Mike Quartermanch is Vernon's rep. I talked to him tonight. He said he would come, and I said, well, it's not necessary. I can speak for it, so.
So there would be the possibility that if we chose curbside for both, then those bins would go away?
Yes.
Okay.
So we could save on that cost.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think the district
Yeah.
would have some reduction in their assessments. You know, this all has to be,
Well, why would we pay an assessment at all if we were paying for?
well, there's other things that the district does, like we just had 4 household hazardous waste collections this Saturday. That's required by law. We do the solid waste planning.
right.
the educational support for the recycling. So I think most towns, if they take a look at it, would decide to stay in the program. Plus, we would offer an outlet for the recyclables at our facility.
Yeah, they receive it, dual stream, they receive it, single stream, we haven't been able to get them to take it yet.
But you have to pay for that service though, don't you?
We do, but
So you're paying and we're paying.
for the single stream,
Well, if we do the recycling, okay, so if we go to pay-as-you-throw and recycling, okay, we're paying for that, and you're paying to drop it off, but we're still paying an assessment to them.
there are some choices to be made, yeah.
But the assessment would be a lot lower, right?
Well, that hasn't been decided, but I would expect it would if our costs go down. The way the assessment is derived is based on an annual budgeting process, which the district's doing right now, that whatever the value of the commodities that we sell, and it was a peak of over $800,000 2 years ago, that offsets a $1.4 million annual budget. This year, the revenue we're ending in 2012, or the fiscal year 2013, which we generated only less than $500,000 of revenue from sale commodities. So what we do is we turn around and say, all right, to make up that difference, we tax per capita the assessment in each member community.
That's the question I was just gonna ask. Like Wyndham Regional, we're assessed for on a population basis.
Wyndham's always saying,
So we could go to a pay-as-you-throw and a recycling pickup, and none of the other towns around us do that, and we're still gonna have to pay the same amount of money, even though you're not paying to come get our recycling.
well, all the towns are gonna be facing the same law.
The private haulers are facing the same.
It's not just,
Yeah.
so if you're Guilford and
Just making
everyone's-
sure the state's not letting you double dip.
No. If in Guilford or any of the towns that don't have a municipal collection program, whether it's Triple T or Franklin or whoever, they're gonna have to do the same thing to the residents there, offer curbside recycling and pay-as-you-throw.
Oh, so Guilford's not gonna have to offer this?
The
See,
towns
that's where I
don't.
got
It's
confused.
up-
We
it's-
either had to do both or nothing, was what I thought.
No, you can just get completely out of the business and say, you know, Bob Spencer, you're in Vernon, you just get your own trash collection. You know, we're not in the business anymore.
Which is what Guilford does now.
Yes,
And all your independents are gonna have to provide that to the state.
they have to collect.
If we do privately, each and then Franklin does yours and I do yours and that type of thing, they're still gonna have to provide that. It's so difficult at this point for me, as been in it 41 years, I'm not even sure I can operate. It's that difficult, this law that's coming down. We got cited for the state dumping recyclables on the floor. And Bob went, and Peter and I and the consultant went up to Montpelier and met with them and said, you can't get, in fact, what we got cited for was the state curb service that they pick up the side of the highway. They dump recyclables on our floor and we didn't take it up, we didn't pull it out. So they cited us for it. So they're freshening us up for the 015 law.
I'm not surprised.
And they can't
What a
get,
nanny state we've become.
they can't get their people to do it, but we're supposed to do it after it's all mixed together.
So, okay, so we say, okay, we're not doing anything. Everybody's on their own, hire your own pickup service. So I call you up and say, okay, I want to hire you to pick up my trash. I have to hire you to pick up my trash. Am I, my recycling under the law? I have to do recycling too? So I have to pay for 2 pickups instead of 1?
You do.
You wouldn't have to hire a trash recycler at all if you had some other family member in another state, just like people are taking advantage of Vernon right now, they're bringing it in. I mean, if you had a place to get rid of your trash, your place of work, or not everyone has collection at the curb.
But if you're gonna be honest.
Yes.
And do things by the law.
Yes.
That's what we're gonna have to do. It's not only will I have to pay to have somebody pick up my trash, but I have to pay to have somebody come and pick up my recycling.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's not a choice, it's not a la carte, it's the meal, you know, you get the entree and the vegetable being the recycling and whatever the entree.
And I didn't hear any dessert on that menu.
Compost.
So all of these towns that have been doing nothing are gonna have to start doing something.
Are the towns going to, or just the individuals?
Well, individuals
It's
can
up
do
to
it.
the
Yeah, we can
individual
say-
agreements between the private hauler and that individual.
I mean, Guilford, for instance, isn't gonna have to do anything new.
But they have the recycling bin. Will they keep the recycling bins, or will they get rid of the recycling? And
That's
I
really
shouldn't
up
pick
to
on
the-
them, I'm
No,
just,
no,
they're
it's
the only
up to-
town I know that doesn't have it.
Right, well, it's up to the district, really.
Hubbardston, Putney, they all
Yeah,
got
there's a lot-
bins and they don't have
There's a lot of
curbside.
towns.
Will they be able to keep it that way after
We're not sure.
2015? I'm not sure.
This thing is, I've heard Bob talk about it both ways, and the meeting at Montpelier, so we both gone away with not sure that you could do it. We're not even sure that you could have a dumpster out there without putting bags in it at this point.
It kinda sounds like the healthcare law. No one's sure of anything.
There's a lot of unknowns, and just, we are actively working to get answers. And actually, Mike Hebert is on top of this. Thank you, Mike, Representative Mike. He's on the
he
House
serves on that
Natural
committee.
Resources, and the A&R is issuing a report on this new Act 148 to the legislature in November this month, where a lot of these questions will be addressed.
Why is the legislature passing bills they don't understand?
It's like a moving target. They come to the hauler and ask the hauler how this thing is going to look. They pass the law, and this is where it's going to be. Then they come back and they're tailor fitting it to the hauler saying, well, we can't do that. And all the reasons why it doesn't work. And so now there's a give and take of what the haulers can do and to make the program work. The best way is just build a place over here in New Hampshire and then take it over there, because now I don't get cited on my floor when I dump the
But
material.
you've tried to do that.
Well, we may be doing that.
Okay.
We may be doing that.
I would think before a law was passed, they would have called in the haulers and said, is it possible to do
They did, they
this?"
called us in quite a few times, and it was kind of a floating thing. I mean, it really couldn't.
There was a lot of testimony.
The question is if you're gonna put the company out of business because they can't function, or do they keep their business and take it to a tipping floor out of state? And that's where we're really, it's becoming quite difficult to operate. And they got a lot of young people that are pushing it pretty hard.
So if we want like Guilford, does Guilford pay an assessment
Mhm.
Yes.
to the district?
All the towns that are members pay the exact same amount per capita.
And by
Okay.
statute, you have to be a member of a district.
No, you do not. That's the Wyndham Regional.
Oh, so you don't
Wyndham
have
Solid
to,
Waste is an optional membership.
oh, I thought it was statutorial.
No, there's a number of towns in Wyndham County that are not members.
Huh.
But they still have to, the towns, the municipalities have to comply with the state's solid waste laws, Act 78 and now Act 148, which mandates solid waste plans, household hazardous waste collection events, and now a whole bunch of other things.
So, about what does a resident pay for a bag? Is it $2? Is it $5? I mean, I know you said we can charge and raise enough money to pay for this stuff, but what does that look like? I mean, if we wanted to try to find a way to take this out of the budget and put it onto the people that are using it, what would that look like?
Shooting from the hip, yeah, $2-3 a bag.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect a concrete number, but I'm just trying to figure.
Depends on how much you're trying to put into it. If you're, Bob mentioned composting, well, yeah, we're going by, but it's still, it's still another function, it's another piece. It's another that your men are doing. Your men are, it's not magic, you push a button, everything composts and recyclables and everything gets in the truck automatically.
And we don't know
It's
that
time consuming.
until the state finishes its rule.
Well, we talked about what, 020, you're gonna be composting.
Well, it eventually applies
Oh,
to
geez.
individual residents, or the
Really?
composting mandate.
That's why I said it's getting to the point.
Jenny, you got
where-
great woods behind your house. We could just go
Really?
grow all our food back there for the animals.
It's getting to the point where it's very difficult, and Peter and I are ahead of just about every hauler in the state as far as our functioning in curbside compost, and we're way ahead of most everybody.
Literally, there's no other community in Vermont that has curbside collection of food waste, as Brattleboro does with Triple T.
We're way ahead, but I'm still very.
That's a third pickup.
Well, it's actually pretty amazing. They have 2 trucks that have been retrofitted to collect the containers, the cardboard paper, and the food waste in the same truck on the same stop.
We do it all one pop.
And they're doing 4 days a week, 2 trucks in Brattleboro, and at the solid waste district, we are composting that material, and it's actually working quite well. Because they drive into the Wyndham Solid Waste District, the truck is partitioned, it's a side load recycling vehicle, and
Well, we did is take the tailgate basically and make that compost. And the truck has already got, we added another divider in the truck, because it's already got one, we added another, so it's got 2 in it. So the tailgate is compost, and so the back end of this, these things that go up and down, they'll actually handle a cart, your cart will hang on to it, or there's a bin, you can dump it in the bin. And so you can compost, plastic containers, and then paper over here, and it can take it all up at once. It takes it all up, the roof opens up, and it takes it all in at once. But you still gotta get it. Gotta get it on the side of the truck. So, and if there was, we'll say if there was no district, we still could do it. We're way ahead of most everybody in the state, but I'm still very worried about it because I mean, just getting cited, and I went up and I stood my ground with them. I said,
Good for you.
if you think that I'm gonna pick through this stuff after it hits the floor, when you can't get your people to do it, when they got pickers to do it, and separate it, when Bob will take the stuff for free, you run it down and pay me $100 a ton to take it, I think you're the one that's out of line here. You're the one that should be doing it for free.
I went to support them on that.
And Bob was there, he said, yeah, we'd love to get the material, so, but they're trying to cite us. I mean, we're running 150 ton a day through the facility, and then we're doing single stream and compost, and this is all happening at the same time. What do you run a day for tons?
Not even 1/10 of that.
See, I mean, so we're very small, the floor is very small, we're very efficient, but now you add other elements to it, and how do you function? How do we function? And so it's becoming quite testy.
It sounds like the state probably ought to be thanking you for.
No, they don't, they come down and spank all the time.
Well, coming back to,
They should thank you for being that far ahead.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, we are,
well, they're getting recognition.
we get recognition
And
in the
it's writ-
national
it's writ-
papers and
It's written
stuff.
up in the new Act 148. They interviewed Triple T. They hosted a waste characterization here for 4 days to determine what's really in solid waste on behalf of the state. So they've been
We are way
cooperative.
ahead, but it's got to the point where it's becoming quite difficult. I say you're putting so much pressure on at this point, passing all these laws, and you keep telling me you're concerned about all the private haulers around here, but you're putting them right out of business. You are putting them right out of business. They're not able to keep up fast enough. For you, you're pushing this thing so fast, we're not able to keep up. And we're ahead of everybody else.
And frankly, it is pushing the districts.
Yes.
And a lot of this report looks at perhaps the district should be consolidated, made more efficient. You know, Act 78 was passed in the 80s, and this is the newest look at it, so it's time to rethink how we deal with solid waste.
We're actually gonna be sitting with the district and discussing that with them very soon.
Well, the other thing, just on pricing of bags, I did a little checking there, that the highest price per bag that I found, and I surveyed other solid waste districts, was $6 a bag. Now, that's not curbside collection, that's at a transfer station where you go and, bring your own trash. $4, $5, $6 was the most.
You see, they're not paying for a pickup either.
Yeah, that's just to take it to a
That's
transfer
just,
station.
they're subsidizing
But they're
something
trying to
else.
pay,
They're paying for the transfer station.
and yeah. So I think we could work together to come up with a,
Figure an average weight per bag, and then you guesstimate the weight you take out of that 15 tons on a weekly basis.
How often would,
How many bags?
how often would bags be repriced? Once a
I
year?
would say, yeah, I mean,
That's your call.
That's your, yeah.
As a select
I think
board,
you want to look at it on an annual basis, see, is it covering your
I would say.
costs?
We're gonna pay for the bag, number one. The
Or
bags
if you
have to
go
come
with
from
the
somewhere.
stickers, you don't have to buy
I know
bags.
Greenfield has started off with a bag, and they're on the stickers now.
Now, do they have to, people have to put their trash in clear trash bags so that the trash people can see them?
No.
well, most of the ones that go with the bags that have a color, and that town is their color. And it says their town's name right on the bag. But you remember, if you buy this stuff we buy it for Brattleboro, we buy it by the skid. I don't know how many bags are in the skid, but there's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. We might buy 2 years at a time, and the bag is literally nothing in price. Am I right, Peter? I mean, it is when you buy the whole, but it's, when you
No, I mean,
break down
we
each
got to a
bag, it's not that
threshold where
expensive.
it was worth purchasing the volume that we did.
There are also companies out there that market this whole
Yeah,
service
yeah, I know.
with the bag and the education and the, we could help you look at that. I think the simplest thing is that you set a quantity bag and you have people buy stickers. I mean, as far as the town having a management role in it, otherwise you gotta stock the bags.
Right.
The only thing that I got to say about the stickers is that it becomes very difficult when you decide to police and force people to recycle. Because you're paying for your recyclable pickup, such as Brattleboro did, and they decide to enforce it. And the law says we can't open that bag. We cannot open that bag. But we also have to identify that there's recyclables in there. So it becomes quite difficult to say, wow, and then Brattleboro came out with this, allowing recyclables to be in there that possibly could be contaminated, otherwise not clean. And that become quite difficult because the driver's got to identify just by touching the outside of that bag whether he's got recyclables in there, and then he's going to tag it and leave it there, and then the person is going to be upset that gets tagged, but we're not allowed to open the bag by law.
Well, Brattleboro has these boxes that says recyclable, can't Vernon
That's
buy
the
those?
recycling. Now, I'm talking about the garbage itself.
Oh, the garbage,
That's
sorry.
We're identifying that
recyclables
there's
in.
recyclables in the garbage and
You put it out in a black bag, it's really hard for them to tell whether there
Obviously.
is,
That's correct.
canned
But
goods and
you do
stuff.
bring up the point of a container for recyclables.
I was gonna ask that question too.
And the
Do we-
containers are better than clear bags and all that because the district receives them much better that way, open without
okay.
cleaning bags.
Now, do people or the town have to buy those blue recycling bins, or can people just use any kind of bin they want for the recyclables?
Probably be better,
Some uniform now.
yeah, something has to be
Would be nice.
uniform because it becomes very difficult, which is a throwaway to garbage to recyclables.
We
Has to be some sort of standard there that we actually have the pricing on the bins, and you can decide whether people buy them or the town buys them, or as part of your program by your stickers. You can do it in a lot of different ways.
Now, which one of you is gonna be in charge of this?
In our spare time, while we figure out everything
Right,
else
that's
that's
right.
going on in this town.
We'll get them out and get them delivered. We'll
The
do that. Or they
district-
can come to us, they can come right to us, the residents can come right to us, we'll have them in stock and they can pick them up right
And the
there.
district's distributing the composting bins for the town now, just because, I'm not quite sure how we got stuck with that,
They're
but.
central.
What do the recycling bins cost?
There's two different sizes. The ones you see in Brattleboro are 18 gallons,
Mm-hmm.
and they're a little over $10 each, $10.50 each. And then there's a 24-gallon one, which is probably the one that I would recommend if you choose to go with your recycling every other week, because the 18-gallon doesn't quite do it for once. And that brings you up to $14.25.
And, now, I've never done curbside recycling. I mean, I know when I go to the bins here, I put my cardboard in one and my, plastic in. How would you do curbside? Would plastics and cans be put in together, or would everybody have to have a recycling bin for each separate thing?
The dual stream, it's important to have the fiber, the paper, magazines, newspapers,
2 bins.
box board in one container, and then the other container would be 4 containers, glass, plastic, aluminum.
As a resident now, if you're buying bags, you're gonna pay for your bin pretty quickly.
Okay, Dover, it says 15 gallon.
No, I didn't get
No.
that.
If you're paying $2.50 a bag, how long is it gonna take you to pay for your bin?
Or your
But you
recyclables.
can't put recycling in a bag.
Not-
Oh, you're
So-
saying now, we
By
buy trash
avoiding-
bags now.
Oh,
I
okay.
get it.
See, after
Okay.
a period of time, you're gonna pay for those bins just because you don't go buy the bags. That
The
does,
incentive is to put the recycling in the bin.
we want them, that's what you wanna do, is try to, because if the incentive gets into the recycling part of it, then you don't pay the tipping fee on it.
In the bag.
You found some,
I found Dover. A 15-gallon bag sticker is $1.45, a 30-gallon bag sticker is $2.15, and a bulk items tag is $5.
So I've never
You're
paid
gonna be
attention
all
to this.
over
I
the
just
place.
put the
Every
trash
town-
bag.
Yeah, this was just a random one that I found.
$1.50 to $2 is fairly typical.
So the white ones are what?
11 gallons.
And then
The little-
the green ones are 30 gallons. And they would be, what'd you say?
$2.45, the big ones.
And that's a transfer station, so there's a little.
That's Dover's drop-off transfer station.
So Brattleboro's recycling bins, they have, they allow you 1 per household.
Correct.
So you can go pick up 1 recycling bin per household
For
free,
Oh, okay.
for free. As a
Yeah,
way
but-
as a way to encourage the recycling, they allowed you 1.
Now, Dover does
But
go
they're
through
only the
their bags.
18 gallon, and he's right. If you do an every other week pickup, the 18 gallon is not big enough for a family. So that needs- You know, I would
Dover
love
does
the
go
big
through their
ones.
bags, they pile them up just like cordwood. And he breaks the bags and puts them in the compactor, because we haul it. And if you go there and he's waiting for you to get back, and it happens to be open, don't touch those, I haven't been through those yet. So, they do go through.
They do a nice job.
They do a nice job there.
There's some really good programs out there where the towns do save quite a bit of money through aggressive recycling. So it's a proven,
It's everywhere, the heaviest weight's going to you in cardboard too.
yep, and Winhall. But where you have very conscientious, operators.
And Triple T does a really good job of enforcing, by the way.
Okay.
I've been tagged once.
Because I don't want to speak for everybody else, so I'll speak for myself, because I'm pretty illiterate when it comes to recycling and trash issues. You're both taxpayers in this town. What's your suggestion?
Unbiased. He can answer the question.
So is he.
Mean in terms of,
What do we do?
Peter, ask Peter. Peter's not biased.
Peter's,
He lives in Brattleboro.
yeah, I don't, go ahead, Peter.
I mean, I think citizens in your community are pretty used to having trash picked up at their curb. A pretty drastic change to
Town meeting will
do
tell
anything
you.
different than that.
Town meeting, I think you'll have an uproar if you try to
Yeah,
take it
me
away
too.
from them.
And so if you meet the letter of the law, is you get some bins and you go to every other week recycling, be it dual stream, be it single stream. And then you've met the law and people start taking a little personal responsibility for what they put at the curb.
And really, they're gonna pay for it anyways. They're the ones that are gonna pay for it. They're gonna pay for it each time they buy a bag.
Now, my opinion is that I think it's a very fair way to pay for trash, is it's based on what you generate. And what we're trying to do is reduce the total amount of trash people generate. And if you start paying attention to those things, it's amazing how much you can reduce how much you generate.
When Brattleboro started going through all of that, it was amazing to me how just in listening to everything that they were going through, and how, and going through the pay-as-you-throw and learning about the recycling, how much I wasn't recycling, and how much it changed what I did, even in what I purchased.
That
So,
was what I was saying.
Yeah,
What
it wasn't
buy.
just about what I was throwing away, it was also about what I was purchasing that I was then going to throw away, or could I then
You
recycle?
start looking at the supermarkets, I saw you Hannaford on Saturday, but there's bulk purchasing options in most supermarkets.
Did she have good recyclable stuff in her
I didn't
cart?
look in her basket. I said hi. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of ways you can change behavior.
Right.
The other thing is that the organics, which we're talking about too, there would be an incentive for people to do more backyard composting, because that's the heaviest piece of the solid waste stream. It's recyclable for your garden, and it's actually fairly amazing how well Brattleboro's been doing, generating about 12 pounds per house per week from the curbside recycling of organics.
You typically fees half.
That's really, when you look at the weight of a bunch of food waste versus some bottles and cans, you know, that little Project Cow dumpster that we have up at the, that is 2 cubic yards, and it probably weighs 600 pounds.
Probably.
What about garbage disposals?
They're not usually recommended with septic systems.
Town septic, it's not so bad, because it goes
If you
through.
had a
the-
municipal like sewer system, they usually can handle it.
It's a debate that goes back and forth. The methane that they have to digest with
And it's you know, very,
clogs in the line.
Yeah,
Messes
But
up your
I
digestive
guess-
system and your septic.
what
I
I
knew
would,
that.
what I
But
would-
that's just
yeah.
meat though, isn't it? Just the meat that does that?
How they even said.
That.
Any kind of fat, yeah. Yep.
Cooking.
Cooking oil, yeah.
I put a furnace in, and then they had to put this special thing on the furnace so that when it went to the septic, that it didn't stop the septic from working. It was a propane unit, and it puts out some sort of
Yeah.
acid, and if it gets to the septic, stops it from working. So they put this thing in there in the system, and it goes through and cleans it before it goes to the septic.
Boy, life used to be so simple, it really did.
You dug a
It just-
hole, you know.
Just on the single stream versus dual stream, the district, and this is a very big issue, most of Vermont is going to single stream recycling because facilities have been built in Chittenden County and Rutland County where you can put your paper and cardboard and your containers in one box. But you need a more sophisticated processing facility to do that.
Casella's gone that way,
It's
haven't
Casella.
they?
It's
Yeah.
not just Casella, New York State and Springfield, Mass., which is a waste management facility. Yeah, there's quite a few of them they have. The beauty of that is there's not so much labor intensive. Yeah, your product is not as good when you're selling your product, but you cut all that big labor right out of there.
It's the most efficient way to collect.
It's a
recyclables.
collection efficiency.
And the collections as well I mean, we're more efficient on the street when we're single stream versus dual stream.
But we've had, Brattleboro's stuck with the dual stream. This was a discussion we had. For, I'm not sure all the reasons, but partially to keep supporting the Wyndham Solid Waste District, rather than diverting that tonnage to Casella's facility in Rutland, it's running through the Wyndham Solid Waste facility.
Okay,
So
so single stream is?
we are not offering that in Brattleboro, or excuse me, in Wyndham Solid Waste yet. But I think.
But if we go,
eventually-
if
They
we-
can do it because they transfer it over to
We
Rutland.
transfer it.
So single stream is you just throw all of your recyclables in one bin?
Yeah, and you can actually throw more commodities too in
Really?
single stream.
Some
Now, is that
rigid
acceptable
plastics.
with the state in 2015?
Actually, some of the stuff that district is bringing us, we put it in our trailers and ship it with the single stream.
But the single stream costs more than the dual stream because.
Single stream costs less.
Single
I
stream
had
costs
it-
less,
Single
yeah.
I
stream
had
costs
it
less.
backwards, that's why I was getting confused.
What more commodities can you put in the single
Number
stream?
3, 4,
Oh, really?
they're taking it, the district is, they're not refusing it, but
We take all the plastics now, 3,
Okay.
4, 5, 6,
a
7.
lot of that's coming to us as a throwaway.
But the market's collapsed for it, so,
Okay.
but it's very complicated. Casella is a very large company, has markets for theirs.
Well, waste does too, and we've trucked the waste, with not just Casella, we've trucked the waste in Springfield, Mass. as well.
So what if we have something we need to dump? Can we still just go to the dump with, like, you know, say I have a couch I want to get rid of. Can I still just go to Triple T with my couch?
Sure you can.
Buy enough
Well,
bags, you
I just
can
didn't know
stuff
if
it
our
in.
nanny state, you know, A&R
We're
was
open
gonna
as
say
well.
we
We're
have to
not-
chop it up in the
Same with
backyard.
the district, we take all those
Right in the
materials.
backyard.
Pretty much-
Just buy enough bags,
Pretty
you
much
can
what
stuff
happens
it.
is on Putney and Dummerston, you come to the district, and Guilford and stuff down here comes to us. It's kind of a split,
Uh-huh.
how it comes to us. But we don't have stickers that they do, and so we do get some.
But all of our trash goes right down to Triple T. And-
Oh, really?
Yes.
Where does,
We're married somehow.
currently, where does all of Vernon's garbage end up?
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Some of it's going to,
There's 3 locations.
there's 3 locations. The reason we've gone, because Moortown closed, we were all in one basket with Moortown. And as Moortown was having problems, we started seeking, even though we were under contract, we started seeking other disposal. And what we find is we need to have other disposal because of, this one could be shut off, the landfill's closed, the burn plant for some reason goes under a fix, and so we know that we need multi-locations, but there's a lot of stuff closing quick.
Because you're not restricted to handle the landfill in-state, you can go.
There's tax implications. So
Our implications are this: if it's Vermont trash, it can go anywheres, and if it's Massachusetts or New Hampshire's trash that goes through our facility, it can't go to a Vermont landfill. But all other states take everybody's trash. It's just Vermont is a
little
little.
interstate commerce.
It's just Vermont that doesn't want everybody else's trash. And they should be looking at it as a revenue, because you can't tell the difference between one town's trash and another town's trash, sorry.
Trash is trash.
Trash. But, so we're using 3 facilities as we speak. We're going to a burn plant in Maine. There's so many loads a week go up there. We go to Casella's landfill, and we go.
We use a Wheelabrator plant in Concord.
We use a Wheelabrator plant in
Claremont's
Claremont.
closed.
Yes, and we were going a little bit to Claremont, and then that closed. And now the one down in Massachusetts, which we've been going to, that closed the other day. And Moortown is closed.
It's gonna be expensive to haul it, those distances.
Oh, well,
too,
what's a little freaky right now is there's some good prices on the street right now, but they're gonna go away real quick, because in my 41 years, you'll see cheap rates mean expensive rates are coming.
Right, it's all cyclical.
Part of it is
It's
where
scary.
recycling is coming out of the trash too. So therefore, not as much is being landfilled as commodity market. So there's competition to gain your portion.
But then when the landfill closes, they start gaining the portion back again, and then the prices go back up again.
And the more laws we pass like this to enforce recycling, the more the more that is on the market. And when you flood the market, the
But
cost
then
is
when the
lower.
landfill closes, the markets start getting flooded again. So it's a vicious circle there that my thing as an owner, I've always said, high or low, if I got a low price, good for me. If I got a higher price, I eat it, and I keep the street prices the same for 6 years. I've had the same tipping fee. And even though I see, right now, there's some cheap stuff out there right now, it isn't gonna stay. It's gonna be gone. And we saw that the other day with the landfill, what they give us for notice.
Oh, Granby, yeah.
What was the notice?
Yeah, they're done next week, yeah.
Gone, just like that. That's why we said that we need to have more than one location. As Moortown got in trouble up there, and we started to have to divert away from Moortown with the problems that were there, Moortown, it did find us places to go. They had us going to Springfield Burn Plant, they had us going over to Granby, they had us going over to, they shifted us all over the place and found, because we were under contract. But it just appears to us that if we got like 3 or 4 locations, we're better off, because we can guarantee the towns that we have always have a place to go. And the danger is too, for a hauler, if it gets down too low, then he starts paying his tipping fee and he'll be thrown out, they'll throw him right out. So you're gonna pay your bills quite well. You're sought after if you pay your bills, and if you don't, then you're out.
Okay, so our option is,
And Chickpea's closing, there's another big one, that's a huge one, it's gonna be closing.
that is a big one.
Well, I think what we could do together is come up with some estimates of the price per bag and get back to you, right?
Yeah.
Certainly helpful.
Oh, that'd be
I really
great.
appreciate
And at least
all your
we're
That
help.
would-
giving you an
if-
estimate of what kind of revenue we generate, so then you can make decisions.
And then,
Cover this service or that service, and we'll have to pay for that, so a lot of that.
Which is what we're looking for. How can we, you know,
Still gonna be a little fictional, because you're gonna take tonnage away, the bag's gonna be this much, so you're not gonna use as many bags. So there's gonna be, we can throw something out there so that you can get your teeth into it, which may find that you have to add 50 cents to it.
but that's what you do on an annual basis.
But
That's okay,
But the
yeah.
wonderful thing about where all of this happening now, if there is a good thing about this happening now,
You're a year early.
well, and we have a year to play with when we're trying to figure out our budget. I mean, that's, our crisis really isn't what we're gonna do about recycling and trash pickup. Our crisis is what we're gonna do about the budget. So it gives us a little bit of flexibility to try to figure out, you know, okay, so we say $2.50 a bag, well, that really didn't work out price-wise at the end of the year. We'll have that little bit of money to draw from, but next year we can start charging more, so we'll have a better
When would you
deal.
be thinking of making a change in the?
It will go in this budget.
July
Starting next
1st,
July.
2014.
So I know when we were talking about this back in February, we talked about perhaps having a special meeting, an informational meeting, and I still think that's a good idea that you get input, because it's such a controversial.
I do too, but what choice do we have? I
We
mean,
have
our
none
choice
as of
right
July
now, I mean,
1st,
as of July 1st,
2015.
There's not a lot of
2015,
choices.
our choice
but-
is either we do curbside and recycling, or we
We
do
don't.
nothing.
Nothing.
That's our
Those-
choice.
Those are your choices. Unless David wants to open a transfer station.
And, you know, where are we gonna find the money to open a transfer station? You know, and then if you open a transfer
Yeah, that's a
station, then you have
perfect
to have an
place.
employee. Now you've got benefits, you know, so you're adding to your cost. I mean, we really,
I
in the
don't think
world we're
there's-
living in today, we don't have any choices.
I
I
say
don't think
we-
there's any savings to a transfer station in that. I would have said that early on, but I thought we should go through the paces with you, just because of the
I don't like that
employee
idea.
and his benefits. Time you got in electricity and time you got all the nuts and bolts put in line and then termed it to
Plus
pay for
hire
it,
somebody to
equipment.
run
Yeah,
it.
we already said that, employee.
And
Forget
then,
it.
and then you don't no longer have it at the curb, you have to travel with it, but it's not a crime because you're traveling with your recyclables anyways now. So, I mean, they would go to the same location. Bob and I worked on it but early on, I never revealed to Bob that it wasn't gonna work.
But you asked us to
We
look
just
at the
want, we
options.
wanted to be able to give people options. We wanted to be able to abide by the law and be able to give the townspeople the options that were out there. Now, there are options out there is we're gonna figure out what the price is, and this is pay as you throw,
And
or
this
this
is
is
nothing.
nothing, and this is what it does to your tax rate. And that's really the only choice we can be giving the taxpayers at this point, or the citizens
I mean,
of
I
this town
think
at this
you
point.
could realistically assume very little cost for solid waste in your next fiscal year budget if you implement this.
You could decide to make your bag $3 to $5 and pay for the districts and everything.
It is
Get
certainly.
it all on the tax base, everything's on the tax base,
It'd
it's
be like
all on that
an
bag.
enterprise, department, it paid for itself.
But you gotta have somebody who's dishing out the bags and making sure the stickers get ordered, or however we choose to do it. There's gotta be somebody that has to oversee this.
But you could have that paid for.
Mhm.
by-
Yeah, we could,
Right.
we
So
could,
I'm
and
just
I
saying
guess
there's a
we
way to
could,
make
You
this
could, like-
self-supporting.
You
Yeah.
could, you could buy one bin, the town would buy one bin, and then the people would have to buy their second one. That way, they, just like Brattleboro did, give them one, and then they'd buy their second one. And we could get the money back through the bags. I think, yeah, I do think that's a good idea.
800.
So 825 stops
Yeah.
times 1450.
Oh, yeah, okay. How many stops?
825. What do we do without cell phones? We just pick them up and look things up online, or use the calculator, or?
So you can order more than 825.
You probably order.
Yeah.
1,000 or-
Yeah.
So, you know,
Well, we'd order a bunch in anyways and have extras.
It's $11,756.
There's that
$11,756.25.
Somebody's gonna have to
for
replace
how
that.
many?
Right,
That's 825.
just for 825, we would have to order a
We'd
few
have to,
more, but we
we'd
don't
have to
that.
order
Yeah.
1,650, right? Double.
And you can do that for us? You'll have
Yep.
them?
Oh, good, okay.
Information, like you said, Bob, probably would be good, but
Mhm.
it would be more strictly informational, not seeking input as to what direction to go in, because the direction is not really a whole lot more concrete. So you should be
Be
more
23.
informational,
Yeah, I think that's,
not seeking,
yeah.
well, what
what do you want to do?
Bob, $23,512.50. That's for the 1,650 of them.
I agree, Jeff. I think it's informational in terms of this is how much the bags are likely to cost, this is what the bins are going to look like, this is how many bins you'll get, as opposed to, this is the array of alternatives.
And we have to, even if we have an informational meeting, we're still gonna have to be prepared to talk about it at town meeting, because you know what life is like. People get busy and they don't make the meeting, and then they show up at town meeting, and everybody's gonna have all the same questions. So, you know, an informational meeting would
So
be
would
good
you
because it'd be
anticipate this
practice.
taking a town meeting vote?
Yes, because it's gonna be in the budget.
Okay.
It's gonna be in the budget, so it's gonna have to be discussed at town meeting.
It certainly is the most efficient way, the municipal sponsor versus having everybody go out on their own and hiring their own contractor.
I think that'd be
Oh, sorry.
very
Yeah.
difficult. For some people, we
It's
wouldn't do
very-
that at all.
It's very much cheaper to do it as a town than it is as an individual. Because you're jumping all over town, boom, 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 boom,
Sure.
boom, boom, boom.
Not as efficient.
Isn't it like $35 a week for pickup, or $35 a month, or something like that? Nobody's gonna spend that in bags.
$38 a month is probably the right number right here. And you could get down to maybe 30 even with maybe some of the smaller haulers. It depends on it.
I mean, that's almost $400,000 a year for 825
So you can start getting a sense of the
Wow.
efficiencies you create.
See the difference in the efficiencies?
months. Not me.
So
Yeah,
I just wanted to put that out there, that the taxpayers, I mean, when you go to town meeting,
Yeah.
this is what you're gonna pay if you went private, and this is what you pay as a town, is hugely a different number. It's just a huge different number.
and I can see a lot of people, you know, I'm thinking household to household in my head here, where I know that they could, it would be a stretch. It's difficult for some people in our town right now to pay any more for anything, but it would be a little easier for them to pay $3 a week for a bag than it would be $30 a month for, you know, because then they would keep it down to a bag a week, you know, and recycle the rest too.
Yep, yep, and that's what Penny just wrote us, it puts the power on people recycling.
So we don't go out in the community and say the wrong thing, because I misunderstood what we had talked about the last time. I thought if you were gonna do something as a town, you had to do recycling if you're gonna do pickup. But this law actually says you have to go to pay as you throw.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
And that's, you know, fairly easy to explain to the residents. that, you
Yeah,
know,
there's no other choice.
These are, we don't have any options here.
Can
I
I,
think this town's used to the state telling them what they have to do.
can I also ask
Still
you
not
how much the bags would be? Do you need, you said that you bought,
But a skid,
a skid, that was it. So how much would it be a skid?
how many boxes are on a skid?
It's a pallet with boxes of like maybe 20 per box.
It looks like your pellets. so you get
Okay,
your
but
pellets.
how much is that, how much is a skid? What would you,
Shooting from the hip, 50 cents a bag.
But it would be cheaper to sell the stickers, is what they said. Let people buy their own trash bag and sell the stickers. And the
okay,
stickers
right,
have to be
because
on the
we
trash
say no,
bags.
no
Right.
bigger than a 33 or a 30-gallon, something like
Yeah.
that bag. Well, how much are the stickers?
I don't.
Stickers would be pretty
don't
cheap.
have
They're
Stickers.
Be a lot cheaper than
Well,
the
they
bags.
make, we'd want to do some research, because not all stickers are created equally, you know. We want them to stay on the bag and,
Well,
That's
I'm
that's
just trying to
what
put a
adhesive
figure
they
together
are.
for our
That's all that
budget.
is whatever
Yeah.
adhesive that, you know, you want a permanent adhesive, but, you know, we do trash stickers for other towns.
oh, okay,
It's
We're
not
an
a,
expert.
it's not a big deal, it's pretty cheap.
yeah. So I
So,
think the most cost-effective way for Vernon at this point would have
No
pay-as-you-throw sticker type
Stickers.
system, people buying their own bags, and get it started July 1, and you'll be 1 year ahead of the state mandate to get.
And then we'll have time to figure out our budget.
will you come back
Absolutely.
soon with a figure on how much those stickers are so that we can, because, I mean, you know, if we're gonna plan on for our budget for July 1st, to start July 1st, I mean, we need some figures. I've got the figures for the recycle bins, but I don't have anything for
give
the
you
skids and,
I'll work
I
with
mean,
them
the
and
stickers.
We'll give you a
I can
full
get a price on stickers.
report on the cost, the
Okay.
recommended rate. Is that something we can do
Yeah.
in the next couple of weeks?
I don't see that.
Okay.
Great,
Is
thanks.
that good
Yeah,
enough?
that's perfect.
All right,
Thank you very much.
sure.
I want to tell you how much I really,
Yes,
really
absolutely.
appreciate all the work that you guys have done for us. I feel terrible that you're in a position like this because you have always been so wonderful to this town. And, we really appreciate the service that you've given us for all the years I've been involved in all of this stuff. You've been here and you've just been fantastic. And, it's unfortunate that we can't figure out ways to pass laws without hurting small independent businesses in this state. But we'll do everything we can to still keep supporting you, because, both of you, because you've been so good at supporting us. You too, Bob,
No, I'm agreeing with you with
Yeah.
Triple T. We have a great relationship with them. We're lucky to have them in this county.
You're a true professional, and you always have been, and we really, really appreciate it, so thank you. You've
Absolutely.
both
Yes.
been great to
Thank
work
you.
with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bob, thank you so much for all the hard work. you've
Thank
put
you.
into this.
Yes.
We really appreciate the time and effort.
Absolutely, thank you.
It just gets worse and worse.
Stupider and stupider, yes. So you'd end up building a transfer station for a year, and then you wouldn't be able to use it anyway,
That doesn't even make any sense.
because the town
Okay.
says no.
Planning Commission and Historian's Budget. Hey, David, before you leave, I would like to say something. I spent the morning speaking to someone who's working on a thesis on storm mitigation, and I think he talked to you. And, we were talking a lot about Vernon and the condition Vernon was in after Irene, and the condition a lot of the other towns were in after Irene. And, he asked me what I thought the difference is, and I truly know, not think, the difference is you and the job you did. Your culvert work is what saved this town from a lot of the issues all of our surrounding towns had to deal with. And, I hold you personally responsible for having helped this town. So before you walk out, having had this conversation this morning, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate the hard work that you do for this town. And I know it's not always easy, and there's always somebody that's got a gripe, but boy, we were sitting pretty after Irene when a whole lot of towns weren't. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll make it quick, get you guys back on schedule.
that was
Why,
a
did you
longer
have to, did we
conversation.
keep you
Yeah, we
waiting
didn't-
too long?
We really didn't
I
expect to
was
be
trying
that
to
long
tap
on,
You
thanks.
can't, you gotta
Some days
have
it's
this
not our turn to
discussion.
hurry, don't
Well,
worry.
you go through it with your
Just not our day to
committee,
hurry,
just-
that's right.
These questions needed to be asked because we're gonna need to explain them.
Oh, look at you, you punched holes in one of these. These
Well, you
are
take
all-
care of everybody but me.
These get passed around now, right?
Well, I guess they can, they're in here.
Punch my own hole.
Oh, they're in here too?
No, I have these punched holes, that's what you
Jealous,
I don't know what you've got, I don't have a copy of it. Yeah.
No, we
All
need-
right.
okay.
Mr. Gassett, thank you very much for coming in this evening. Sorry to hold you up, but obviously this was a conversation that really needed our time and attention, so.
And here, give that one to
Okay.
Chris.
Oh, here's
First item,
there's a whole thing.
pretty much, you graced our planning commission the other night, we kind of examined the budget, and
I need a historian.
it is what it is.
Yeah, and I think I said this last week when we were talking on Tuesday night about budgets, that I had been into the planning commission's meeting for another issue. Wonder what that might be. And we did kind of go over the budget, and there really isn't anything in, because there's nothing in your budget. I mean, you know, you got a $5,000 budget, and $4,000 goes to Wyndham Regional.
Yeah, really.
So really, you know, that's a mandated cost, so what are you gonna do?
By the way, Steve sounded so good at that legislators meeting a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he did a nice job.
He did a great job.
Commission. It's nice to hear some common sense when you're sitting at those meetings.
Well, you have to remember what Mark Twain said, they call it common sense, why is it so uncommon?
I didn't know he said that.
So, if you're set with the planning commission, we can take a quick look at this story.
Yeah.
Now, essentially, you know, we've eliminated these where we already have, you see in the note down at the bottom down there, we were approved to do some maintenance work on the museum. So we look to eliminate some costs, and you'll see that we're not asking for any money for building repairs and maintenance. And we're going to eliminate the porta potty rental down there because we really spent $500 and it was barely used. So it kind of gives you a cliff notes of what we're looking for. And there was an item where the welcome signs were, for some unknown reason, put in our budget. But you know, we did, as the historians, put some plantings, some on these, and took care of the upkeep of the sort of, to say, the major renovation, major refurbishing of the sign 3 or 4 years ago. But as far as the signs themselves, it really isn't a historian's thing.
You know, I'm trying to think, I thought it came from one of the historians because they weren't being taken care
It
of.
was Nancy that came and asked if she could take care of that for us because it was
And
running,
that's how
wasn't it
ended up.
Nancy?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I believe it
They
was.
were in extreme
They were
disrepair.
really bad,
Right.
yes, I'm
And that's how
thankful
that
that she
ended up
did
in the
that.
budget.
She put them out to bid to 3 or 4 different places.
Right.
And
I remember that, she did, thank God she did
That
that.
was because before that, the Dennons took care of those before they left
Yes,
town.
yes, of course.
When they left town.
Nobody picked it up. and
No, that's
where
right,
that came
exactly
from.
right. I think it should be left with the historians. And-
Well,
I mean, if you don't mind, huh?
Nancy and I talked about it, we actually kind of plugged it into select board, because it really is the welcome signs for the town.
I know, but you know what? I mean, she was so proactive with it, that's what I was thinking. Because are we gonna be proactive? I would hope so,
Well,
but,
if it's in your budget, you will be,
okay.
because it's like every other year, every 2 or 3 years, and it's like $125 for them just to refurbish.
yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
agree, those signs, it's welcome to Vernon, it's not
Yeah,
welcome
it's
to
not.
the historians
Yeah.
of Vernon. I mean, it's.
Yes, I wasn't thinking that it was historians.
just
I was
thinking that
just
if
thinking
Nancy
that
did it, it'd get
she was so
done.
proactive
Yeah.
with it that I thought,
So,
I mean, really.
so would the gardens be taken out of grounds now?
Pardon me?
The gardens used to be out of,
Yeah, they're already in historians' hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay. Because it said for the past 2 years it's paid out of sales for maintenance and repairs.
Yeah, that's last year's notes, but
Oh, thank you.
I think you have notes from my last time.
So we should enter a line item then for that, Sally? In the select board budget?
I plugged it in at the bottom, I don't know what, number it's gonna be, but I'll tell you what, I just kind of put it in the
Okay, because
It
that's,
says welcome signs, maintenance / landscaping.
all
Now,
right.
let me ask you.
And you said
Brown.
150?
Well, it was $125 for Dennis Tier to refurbish the 2 signs. What Heather gets, I'm not really
Yeah,
sure.
well, Heather gets, she does all the planting and cleaning in the spring and does it, and keeps it periodically up through in the fall. So, that,
But she's separate from the signs, right?
yes.
Pardon me?
She's separate from the Senate.
Yeah, but she also does ours too out here, right?
Right, she does the.
She does the gazebo and everything, that's what we're talking
Oh,
about, putting it, that part in the select board, the planning is, that she does down there would be in the planning, right? Or would that be
No.
all? That would be
That's
all,
No, what we're doing is,
This is, this money here is strictly for the museum.
okay.
Okay.
so what she does at the museum is in with the museum. The
Okay.
welcome signs for the town would be in your work.
Okay, all right.
So she hasn't.
I'm back
got
to
the
being
figure
right where I
for
should be.
landscaping.
Sorry
Has she
about that.
told you, Dale? Heather, have you talked to her?
Pardon me?
Has Heather talked to you about what she would charge for the welcome sign?
No, she has
No.
not.
Yeah, I think Peggy was gonna check with Heather about that.
Okay.
So, Heather originally started doing that for free as a volunteer several years ago, is that right? I don't know the
I
answer
think
to
the
that.
historians asked her to do it because they weren't being done.
Right.
Well,
And
so
she does the
so
gardening,
she's
so it
being
made
compensated,
sense.
but I mean, is there any kind of contract with her, or is it?
There is a contract for landscaping with her, and there is a piece that was the signs for the historians, but I don't know what the amount is.
Because I mean, is it up for bid, or is it, I mean?
It's not enough for a bid.
No,
It's not.
has to be 20.
Well, and I know that, let's just addressing the sign here, the signs real quickly. I know that there were some barrels down there, because I got rid of the barrels. They were just in such disrepair.
I remember that
That
conversation.
we
Yeah.
put some topsoil down there and put some perennials in there, so it's gonna be a little bit of tuning up, but nothing to the
Pretty
extent
low
that it
maintenance.
used to be.
Mhm.
So, it shouldn't be a huge item in your budget, but.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that going into the budget, but grounds, does that consist of mowing the lawn around the
No.
museum or anything? That's just
If
planting?
We've walked around down there. Heather Frost does an extraordinary job
Yeah.
of maintaining all the flowers and everything around that museum down there. I mean, it's just incredible what she does.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
she
can
does
tell you what's
very
in,
good job.
yeah.
Yeah, she does. I think she
basically
does, too.
For garden and signs. That's what it was last
What if the
year.
Girl Scouts want to do the gardens under the signs for community service? Sometimes they're looking for projects, or is it Boy Scouts?
Boys, we don't have Boy Scouts anymore. But they might, you mean where the welcome signs are? The only thing is, do they meet during the summer? Would it get done during the summer? you
Yeah,
know?
see,
I mean, we could have that conversation with them.
I think that's a little bit, I don't know, that's my opinion. I don't want to hurt them, but I'd prefer to stay with what we have because it's,
No, I'm just saying on the signs, the welcome sign, on the museum.
yeah, I knew what you meant, but even still, I don't know. Yeah, but maybe you're right, just as long as it's one thing, I don't know.
I think it looks beautiful.
Pardon me?
I think it looks beautiful.
Yep.
Thank you.
Did anybody have any other questions? Thank you so much.
Absolutely none.
To hold you up, but like I said, this is, unfortunately, because it's a new law now, it's not only how do we handle the budget, it's how do we handle the law and the budget. So it's very confusing, as you heard, the state doesn't even know what they're doing yet. So trying to figure out a way we're going to follow the letter of the law and deal with our budget is difficult.
Well, and we talked about it too, the fact that, probably the burn barrels will come back out, and, people will be throwing trash on the side of the road. It's a horrible situation, because it has a consequence either way. So-
Yeah, and it's not always easy to say, right away people say, well, then if there's a trash bag and it's on the side of the road, then it's up to the police to, look and see if there's any mail or something, but that's not always easy either, so.
I don't know why, I know there are some towns that we've dealt with in the past, where we've done construction jobs, especially on Nantucket. You cannot throw trash away except in a clear bag, so you can see right off the bat if there's any recyclables. In Nantucket, if there are recyclables in, they won't pick it up.
That's why I asked that about colors and bags, because it kind of surprised, anybody could put out black bags.
Sure.
You can't see a single thing in it, and you certainly, it's, as they said, it's against the law
The
for
law
them to open
prevents
the
them from
bags.
opening it.
So what's to prevent people from, and it only takes a couple to up our costs when the rest of us are all trying to do the right thing.
Let's prevent us from requiring surveys.
Well, there's nothing, but I think that's a discussion we need to have.
Yeah, I do
Except
too.
for it's hard to find clear 30-gallon bags.
Oh, they're out there because I know that other towns mandate using them, just for the fact they don't wanna see recyclables and other stuff in there, that should be either composted or disposed of in another way. So I think, some research will help you out, but
Yeah.
that's really, to me,
Well, I don't think that, they said that they minded, you could put anything you want in that bag, is what they said.
Yeah, 'cause you're paying for it, yeah.
You're paying for it. So now, it's got, what the incentive is that they're gonna try to recycle because they wanna get it out of there so they can fill more trash into that
So it
bag.
doesn't cost them as much
So
to buy
Right.
so it
bags.
doesn't, yeah, it doesn't,
So, I guess I didn't really follow it, the garbage bag that you're paying for, you could put recyclables in.
yes, you
Oh,
can.
yeah, you
can
could
put
fill it up with
anything in it.
cans if you wanted to.
Recyclable
Yep.
bag,
Container.
Container.
recyclable container, that they can't verify that you're not supposed to obviously put garbage in.
Right.
A recyclable container.
That's
but-
why it's
but
open.
you can't look.
But it's open.
No,
But it's
that's the
open, it's a
opposite.
bin.
Container, it's not a trash barrel, it's like a box.
Like a
that's
tote.
open.
So what's,
Plastic
I don't, I
tote.
guess I don't understand what the.
You can't, they
issue is.
can't look in the trash bag, in a closed black
You can't
trash
pick through your
bag.
trash,
They
because there
can't,
could
they
be
can't pick through
confidential
it, they
stuff
can't
in your
open it up and
trash.
pick
So
through it.
what are they trying to find in this closed trash bag that isn't supposed to be in there?
Well, if
Recyclable
like
so they
town
can
like
annoy you
Brattleboro
about-
enforces,
Right.
Brattleboro enforces the
Recycling.
recycling.
Oh,
Yeah.
So they
oh,
can't-
Municipality, we don't want people.
Right.
Even if they're paying for the bag. they
Well,
can't
in
put
Brattleboro's
recyclables.
case, they're not paying for the bag yet,
But
which
it
they
de-
will have to
And
too.
in Brooklyn, you
if they
could get a
continue to go
ticket if you had
curbside.
recyclables in your
That's the law.
garbage. You-
Right,
you would
that's the
get a-
law, so
you
they'll
would
have to too.
get
But
it.
even
But-
though you're paying for the,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, Brattleboro right now, they're not paying for that bag, so
Paying
they're
for something that
encouraging
they
everybody to recycle.
He said if you're paying for it, you can put anything in it. It
Yeah.
does not matter. They're not going to check. But they can check that tote for recyclables and say, no, that don't go in there. They'll leave it, they'll tag it.
And they tag it, and they do.
Yep,
They do
so-
a very good job of doing that in Brattleboro. They,
no, I think you're right. I think the theology behind saying, if I recycle, I can get more
More
real
trash
the
in
bag.
that bag.
Right.
There are gonna be people that said,
I don't care.
I don't care.
Yeah.
the bag, I'm gonna fill it with whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever I want, and they can. That's what he said. Yep.
Anyway, just a final note, so you guys are okay with our request?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
do you have an extra copy of that one? Can I have that one? Thank you.
Remember, we haven't voted on it yet, but we are okay with it as you have presented it tonight.
Did you actually slip that in there?
Yeah, what we're trying to do, Gail, because this is a very difficult budget, is we're going through everything
Thank
once,
you.
and then we'll probably have to go through everything a second time now. Certainly planning committee, there's nothing to go through.
Right.
Like I said, a $5,000 budget, and 4,000 of it is Wyndham Regional, there's not a whole lot to do, but, we will be still having discussions on this
But
budget.
I mean, on the historian side right here, we've done our part to try to take as much out of it.
Oh,
Absolutely.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
There's not much in
We
there.
won't
to,
why
touch
don't
it.
you do the percentage and then sell everybody else what we did for a percentage and make everybody else toe the line?
Because unfortunately, by the time we're finished with this, everybody's gonna be at your percentage.
So,
We've got a lot of money to cut out of this
Oh, yeah.
budget, a lot of money. So, party's over.
Did you get some cake?
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sandy, with the bills and warrants, right? Now we got down that part.
Wow.
Ms. Harris.
I move that we approve the following bills and warrants. Number 9SG, accounts payable for $212,537.58. Number 43S, payroll for $11,455.30. And number 44S, payroll for $11,961.29.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve and pay warrants 9 SG accounts payable, $212,537.58. 43S payroll, $11,455.30. 44S payroll, $11,961.29. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And I did print this off, but of course, I don't know what I did with it, but our schedule reminder.
Oh, yeah, tomorrow night, there is a budget meeting starting at 6 o'clock. And at 6 o'clock, we'll start with the treasurer. 6:30 will be the town clerk. 7 PM will be the auditors and listers. And then 8 PM is the highway department. Planning came tonight and historians came tonight, so they are no longer on that schedule. And then on Tuesday, November 12th, 6 PM, the police department, and 7:30 PM, rec department.
Do you think we could have, because the listers, planners came tonight?
No.
No, the planning and historians
planning
came tonight.
historians came tonight. Can we move David up to like 7:45? Just so it's not quite so late for him?
Yeah, yeah.
What about the library? Do we get the library?
Library's
We don't-
done by
they're
the
separate.
trustees.
So they just give us theirs?
No.
No, town meeting.
Town meeting.
We don't
Oh,
have
a town
anything to do
meeting.
with
It's
it.
an
Oh, so
article.
we-
Town
Okay.
Yeah, we don't do anything with it.
We
It's
should've
an
told
article.
David when he
People
was
should
emailed.
realize that and really study that. They need to understand the library's budget, too.
Interesting.
We put
Yeah,
articles
if you
on
can, just tell him.
the town meeting.
Right.
If you can, that'd be great.
Yep.
Thank
I
you.
don't think there's gonna be a lot of articles at town meeting this year.
Be plenty of discussion on the ones that are out there.
Yes, we get to discuss them, too.
Okay,
I move to adjourn.
any new business?
Oh, wait, Mike, too, if Mike
Yeah,
has
no.
anything.
No new business. Mike, thank you for blessing
Oh,
us
I-
with your presence tonight.
Can I
Oh,
butt
wait a
in?
minute, gotta back up. We have a new business.
Well, it's not new, I guess it's kind of an old business, but I just, when I came in, the
Girl Scouts?
Girl Scouts stopped me and told me that they needed the bus schedule. It's not in the, on the website yet. It says June, and they need that bus schedule. And I said that I would speak to you and the board, but then
It's posted at the
she's got a,
post office. The bus schedule is posted at the post office.
Maybe copies upstairs.
well, yes, they know that, but they would like to be able to go to the website because there are things that they need, like, there's a video of this Girl Scouts and stuff like that they need to get there and
Yeah,
whatever.
that's got to be given to Andrew. I don't know how to, I just got just to update the board, Andrew and I have been in contact, and he did send over, this weekend, he sent me over the login information so that I can get on it. I don't know how to upload stuff yet. I'll work with him on that, but I am getting the information that he's looking for.
Nice.
And one of those items is the bus schedule.
I spoke with him today, and he's moving as quickly as these guys can move, as he and Andrew and Katrina can move, he's ready to move. So we're hoping for a December 1st launch at the latest.
Okay, but what about the people that we've already paid to do all this stuff? What happens now?
Andrew is one of the people we've paid.
Yes.
Okay, but so isn't our other website guy, and they're not answering the emails and stuff like that. I mean, what is our next move? Do we go to the attorney and stuff? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to hurt anybody, but, you know,
Can't discuss this in open session.
as long as I don't use anybody's name.
Yeah, maybe we should discuss it. I'll make a motion to go into executive session on contractual matters.
All right.
Second?
And let's keep Katrina in the room.
I keep Katrina in the room
And actually, Sandy can stay. You know what?
Let's see
You're all set, right?
and she's got to
Okay.
take something from us first.
Let's see if Mike has anything too, maybe, so he
Yeah,
doesn't
Mike,
have to
let's
stay
see. I
here.
mean, do you have any questions? Because I don't want to make you hang around for an executive session so we can come out of executive session and adjourn. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I just had two, I think, very quick ones.
There's nothing quick on these select board meetings anymore.
Right, so I heard everything that you talked about with pay as you grow tonight.
Do you think there's any possibility, as you sit here right now, that the select board would choose instead to get out of the business altogether, like, as you say, Guilford does? I mean, or you really think that pay-as-you-throw in some way is the way to go?
Well, number one, this really isn't our decision. We will bring this to the townspeople at town meeting. They will make the decision to either go as pay-as-you-throw or nothing. But pay-as-you-throw does take the money out of the budget, and, you know, it is a convenience for, especially like our elderly people and stuff, to not have to, it's expensive to have somebody pick up at your curbside. A whole lot more expensive than, I almost look at it as a co-op. You know, people that live in my neighborhood, we all entered into this kind of co-op thing where we all have propane fuel, and so we buy our propane fuel all together because there's a value in that. It's a lot cheaper to buy as a big unit than it is just person to person to person. So this is really the same thing. So what we're going to be doing is buying our trash pickup as a town, and there's an economy of scale there, so it's cheaper to do it that way than it would be for each individual household to hire somebody to pick up, because it's going to be about $30, $35 a month for each individual household to pay for somebody to come and pick up. That's a lot of money for some people. Where if you're recycling and you're conserving, you really could get away with one bag a month. I mean, one bag a week.
I was going to say, really.
Yeah, but in
so for $10,
2013, right, it's going to be the law anyway.
the law is either we do
I mean, 15.
this or nothing.
This
So
or
what
nothing.
he's asking is, why aren't we, we'll
Yeah.
do
Will
nothing.
we
an
think about
option, we
doing
give-
nothing?
yeah, Right.
Yeah, okay.
We won't make that decision. We will give that decision to our townspeople to make. But it's really no cost to group together and buy our trash pickup in that way.
And the only other question, you talk about having to cut a lot out of the budget, you've been talking about that. Is there a target that you've got right now? Are you looking to cut your budget by 50% as opposed to what it is now? Is it more than that? Is it less than that?
Did you say 15%?
50.
50?
At
I mean,
least.
Is that, am I way out of the ballpark?
No, we need to cut about $700,000-800,000 out of our budget.
And I don't remember, I'm sorry, what the budget is currently.
It's
So
about
what is that?
2.6.
Okay.
Not quite, I think it's like 2 point,
There's not total.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
little over 2. I
Yep,
can't
I
remember
can't
what
remember,
the exact
but
number
yes.
was from last year. I had my book here somewhere, but
I had it.
it's a lot of money. So we gotta cut about half.
The bottom page doesn't have anything on it.
No, but
Well, Vermont
my
Yankee
other
paid
thing,
48% of our tax base. Now, they still will be paying some taxes, but it won't be 48% of our tax base anymore.
my
So
colored thing,
we're
where did we
actually
put that?
entering into negotiations
In the
with
front,
them to try to
at the
figure out what that tax base is going to be, which will then give us a better idea of what we have to cut out. But we need to make changes anyway. I mean, this whole trash pickup conversation we just had really has nothing to do with the budget. It's the new law that's been passed. So even if none of this was happening to Vernon, we still would have to go the same route we're going.
It's just perhaps going that route, if they were quicker due to budgetary concerns.
Yeah.
Other than, might not have been as fast a schedule.
And obviously, you'd like to have that answer from Entergy. I mean, I'm not saying there's pressure on them, but as soon as you know what our tax number is gonna be.
Entergy has been wonderful to deal with. They're actually sending people up from Louisiana this week. But, you know, as you know, with any negotiation, you have to have more than one meeting.
Why is it that I don't have a total budget?
Because it
of
doesn't-
last year.
It doesn't print it. And it just.
No, I know, I have,
Yeah.
I can't print this at all.
I think
No.
I think it's like 2.3.
I think it
I
is.
asked Sally that today,
Sally
why I
could've
didn't
told
have
us
that
in the
number.
second
And she
had
said
she
it's just the
still
way
been
the
down here.
program is reading right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I want to say it's a little bit less than that, but
That's all.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Do you want a brownie, Mike?
They're not brownies, they're
sure?
apple cakes.
They're an apple
They're-
cake. It's an
They're
apple
really
cake.
good.
No chocolate, it's apple cake.
Apple cake brownie.
Yeah, that's
It's
what they are.
delicious.
All right, so Sandy. Motion.
No.
Okay, the motion's been made and moved to go into executive session. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Who seconded it?
Chris,
Jeff did.
Mike, thanks again. Have a great evening.
Thanks for getting me in.
I know we sound the same, but it was Jeff.
good to see you. I didn't even hear it.
Glad to see you didn't move.
Not yet.
Okay, we went into executive session at 8:05. We're coming out at 8:38. No action taken.
Madam Chair, I move we adjourn.
Second.
We moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.